I'm recording now, by the way.
Oh, so this is the good stuff that you're
now
getting.
This is the content you're going to get.
This is the B-roll.
It's not B-roll, it's audio.
A-roll.
Look, I got to explain that to you
Well,
later.
that's why I said B-tape, because, like, I was thinking we were
You tell me
recording
it was
it.
BTS.
That's behind the scenes.
No, it's not. It's an Asian boy band.
They're both. That's what they do. They
You
don't
ever heard-
actually sing. They
You
just
ever
go
heard
around and
the
film.
Summer Bop Butter?
Do I need to?
I don't know.
Okay.
You can.
How much can you play, like, as far as copyright music before
15 seconds, I think.
15
It's
seconds?
like, 15 or 20 seconds.
Okay, so I'll just play, what did you call it?
BTS.
Butter by BTS?
I think so. Isn't that what it's called?
Okay, well, if you send me that file, I'll put some of that song in instead of
snippet.
I'll put some of that song in instead of our intro. How about that?
I like the intro, though.
I can put it there.
No, you put it in the B-roll. They're an advertisement.
All right,
Tom.
if you send me the file, I'll put some of it in the podcast at some point.
In the B-roll.
And I'll put it in the B-roll. All right, I'm ready if y'all are.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go.
I'm
I
healthy.
literally just
think.
read this, so
Yeah.
I'm so ready.
Well, I read it last night. I read half of it, and then Snoop came over. I had to stop reading it, and I had to end up reading the rest of it when I was drunk and high.
Man,
So
How'd that go, by the way?
it was great. I guess.
I didn't do that. I said I was going to read it after I left your house, and I immediately passed out. And
Yeah.
I did it this morning, though, in the hammock.
Nice.
Yeah.
you got anything fun you want to say? Like maybe like 15 to 20 seconds?
I don't have much fun going on in my life. So right now, at least, I am having a bouncing baby boy.
I'm a little baby boy.
Yeah, 4 days.
That's right. It is 4 days.
Yeah, coming up quick.
Yeah, you excited?
I'm running away.
From excitement?
No,
Oh. I'm excited.
I'm glad.
Because
Yeah, because you get to leave afterwards.
I do get to leave afterwards. Higgins,
It's good that he gets to knock out this bright and shining achievement before he has like
That's right.
little
Just
to
like
no time.
a second
Something
baby.
for the boys to listen to later on in life.
Uh, Welcome back, everybody, to Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics. It's a show where I, Snoop Lynch, and my co-host, Higgins Sturm,
Hey, that's me.
that's him right there, together, the two of us at the same time. We talk about a book we've read and a drink we've drunk, but we're not doing it just us this time. That's right. We've got another special guest back.
Man, we did spoil that surprise though last week, so I mean, people would probably be more surprised if he wasn't here.
Well, this is for the new listeners.
Oh, okay.
This is
You're
the first
right.
episode.
I
Yeah.
don't want to isolate him.
So let's introduce them to someone who's been on the show before, our friend Josh Sawyer.
That's me.
That's him. He's right there.
You're right. The new users are the only ones that matter.
Yeah.
You need to get those numbers up, you know? Get the sponsorships.
Yeah, once we got the first ones, we
No,
can just
they're
kick 'em
locked
to the
in.
curb. Yeah.
Yeah. We're probably a hot commodity once advertisers find out about us, right? Because I don't think there's many, like, drunk comic book club podcast.
Probably not.
No.
With like slight, I mean, people probably assume slight communist undertones just given the
Oh.
name.
I couldn't think of another word.
The fascist party here.
Well, we could change it. We could go to just cocktails and comics.
I can't do that. I'm
Yeah?
already kind of set.
The C cubed. He's already set on C cubed.
Yeah, all right. Oh, we could just refer to ourselves as C3 or C cubed, but that's another conversation for another day. This time, though, let's talk about either a drink we're drinking or a book we be reading.
I kind of want to leave the drink for like, you know,
well,
the
Higgins,
middle. I'll pick the perfect moment for it.
Because normally you know that this is like 50% your show and 50% my
Yeah.
show,
And 10% my show.
but he's here.
And the math adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his 10% is more important than what your 50% is.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just simple math. Don't worry about it. So, Josh, as our special guest, you're not our first returning guest. Kiker actually snagged that title right before you a couple episodes ago.
But in same basic order.
Yeah, but maybe I think we had you guys on for we did the Umbrella Academy Volume
Umbrella
1.
Academy. Yeah.
So thinking about that, you are our first guest to be on here twice and talk about two books that have both been turned into Netflix shows.
That's right.
Steve also
Kind of.
talked about a Netflix show. The other one didn't get one though. That's okay.
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah.
I like that episode.
Yeah.
Sweet Tooth episode.
We had fun with that episode. I think we're gonna have fun with this episode. So, Josh, what are we talking about? This?
So we read Jupiter's Circle.
No, we didn't.
Oh, kinda. Some of us did.
I bought it apparently,
So-
even though it said it was something else.
So we started to read The goal, what we said in the last episode, was we were going to read Jupiter's Legacy because we were having you on and we agreed we wanted to do that. We watched the Netflix show together, as we watch every TV show together into these days.
Right.
And so we're like, yeah, let's talk about this. I came over to your house yesterday and I saw that you were reading, just studying away.
I was.
And I wanted to check in and see how far you got. And you were only on issue 2 of a book that I was on issue 4 of, but we weren't looking at the same pictures. There's a little bit of confusion.
Yeah, and I already bought the book too, because
Well, yeah.
it says it on there, and I didn't even pick the Netflix version.
The long story short of it is me and Higgins were actually reading the spin-off series, Jupiter's Circle, which was released later down the road after Jupiter's Legacy.
2020.
And, 2015 actually. It's a whole thing. I'm going to get into it later.
I thought the one we were supposed to read ended in 2015, started in 2013. The one you bought was the Netflix rendition, and I'm pretty sure the date on it was like February something 2020.
So I'm going to go into intense detail at the very end because I'm sure not many people care. But point is, I figured it out. I know exactly what happened, and I can't wait to tell you. I've got visual aids, which I'm sure is going to be helpful for everyone, but more specifically you two. And to keep it short for now, we all read the same book, which was Jupiter's Legacy Volume 1, issues 1 through 5, which was originally published from April 2013 to, I want to say, October 2013.
Sounds right.
You guys could talk a little bit more about the book as a whole and, synopses and writers and artists and such.
Oh, yeah. It's wrote by Mark Millar and Frank Quitely.
Frank Quitely does the art, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have
Peter Doherty.
Peter Doherty on...
Does the colors, letters, and the designs.
He's just knocking out the rest, yeah, hard worker.
Yeah, that's the BTS.
Yeah.
That's
He's
the
doing all
BTS
the BTS.
He's the BTS of podcasting and Marvel, or not Marvel. He's the BTS of Image, because that's who published this book.
So Mark Miller also wrote Kick-Ass.
Yes.
Also been turned into a movie.
Yeah, also been a movie. We recorded a podcast once about Wanted, which was turned into a movie.
Oh, yeah, with
And-
Angelina Jolie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the book, it's Halle Berry.
Yeah, it's Halle Berry and Eminem.
Yeah. So
He's edgy. He likes doing edgy things.
he's edgy. Sometimes he's always very edgy, but sometimes he's not as edgy as he can be. I think this is the right amount of edge for me as far as like this story, Jupiter's Legacy. I think this is the good amount of edge that Mark Millar can bring to a book. Sometimes it's a little over the top.
There's not as many like black leather jackets in this book.
No, there's definitely not.
There's only one, and like he turns out to be like a pretty bad guy.
Yeah, the guy from Chronicle.
Oh yeah, he hates his dad, so he. Oh, we'll leave that in for the middle.
Yeah. So, Josh, since you're our guest, I normally do a synopsis of the story that we're going to talk about, but I figured, you're here, might as well take advantage of you. So, just in your best words, why don't you summarize what this first volume is?
Okay, so my synopsis of this first volume is Jupiter's Legacy follows a group from, I guess, the 30s, late
29,
20s,
the Great Depression era.
It's right after
the Great Depression.
Yes, yeah.
So it follows them. Businessman, lost everything in the Great Depression. Banks went down. Gets a group of friends. He had some weird dream. Goes to an island, gets superpowers. Comes back and just wants to be Captain America.
/ Superman / he just wants to be a great guy. Is what it looks like. Yeah.
He just wants to be a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's overexcitable.
He is very excitable.
So they've flash forward. You got the lower generations of these superheroes for some reason now have superpowers, even though the aliens granted the parents superpowers in the first place.
Well, they have like altered genes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I took it as well. Because in the show that we watched, the island stuff's pretty like front and center, and it takes a while to get any kind of conclusion out of that. And in this, it's the beginning of the first issue. They basically just go get their powers from this alien race, and he thinks it's to help America because that's kind of his whole deal. Is he loves his country and he wants to see it back on its feet. And the Depression just happened. He lost everything, so he thinks these aliens are here to give him the powers that will make everything better and make the world great, make it just the perfect American dream. I guess is kind of
how conceited.
Very, and that's probably the best part of this book is we get a little bit of that early stuff just to establish those characters, and then you flash forward like because they can live for a really long time. They're like 100 or something,
and
still doing superhero stuff, and you now see the impact that having superheroes around for that long has on the world, as far as, like, how do people feel? How do even the heroes feel about what they're doing, and are they doing enough, and are they doing the right things? Is kind of the questions it's asking.
And so the way they show it is like they just want to be celebrities.
One thing that stood out to me about that is the modern day stuff is really about the kids of the superheroes. And I mean, they're just like us podcasters at the end of the day. They just want some sponsors and some money, but
And like oversaturated, I guess.
yeah. And there's a line that I think the son of this world's Superman, he's called the Utopian, but his son,
Josh Duhamel.
Josh Duhamel's son, he says something like, my parents don't understand that things aren't like they were. Like, all the true battles have already been fought. All those like great superhero stories you heard are just that.
The glory days.
Yeah, it was a golden
Oh, yeah.
age, he said.
Yeah.
And
There's no more baddies. I mean, people are still doing crime, but I mean, like, not super crime.
no, and there's a lot more of these I don't know kind of how the powers spread. They don't really go into it, but there's a ton of superheroes now. Originally, it was like 7 or
I think it's
something.
just like sex.
You
I mean,
think-
there was like 10 of them. There was 10 of them there. They can live for 100 years. They're just pumping them out.
You think that just that's part of the whole job as a superhero? Just go
They just
put some
pumping-
super babies into.
Pumping babies out.
Because some of them are super villains.
Yeah, they do have some super villains.
I think it's like COVID.
Yeah, speaking of which, the biggest supervillain's like one of their boys, right?
Yes. They don't really.
They don't go into it too much, but I mean, I can put puzzle pieces together.
Yes.
Are you talking about
George
that,
or something like
George.
that?
It was.
It's what's her face's boyfriend's dad.
It's Samson's best friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's basically that. Like, he's this story's Batman
Yeah.
in the early days, and he disappears because they have a fight. I know about what happened because I read all of Jupiter's Circle and not Jupiter's Legacy.
Nice.
But he is, I guess that's kind of what kicked all this off and started this decline, because in those early days, reading Jupiter's Circle, not to go too deep into it, but that whole story there is to kind of set up the world that we read about in this main line volume. And that's one of the biggest like fallouts that happens. And in this story, for me, there's all these superpowered people, and it's really only at the very end of this last issue that I thought, oh, there's an actual superhero. The rest of them are all just kind of lunatics with powers.
yeah.
I think that's what really works for me with this book, because having read so many superhero comics, like, I like the classic stuff. Like, I like reading Superman comics, Batman, Green Lantern, all that stuff. But it falls into a formula. And so anytime you get a book like this that kind of deconstructs that and asks different questions, I always want to kind of pick those up. But I don't know, Josh, you don't read like a ton of comics like me and Higgins do. So how do you feel about a story like that?
I enjoy it. It does a little bit different than the show. I feel like the show is so political. Like, they literally ate the politics stuff up. But
Mm.
with this one, I like the story. I like how it's different. It's not mainstream. Went off the edge, as you like to say. So
Yeah, it's
Oh.
very action heavy, this book. A lot of violent, crazy stuff happens. Higgins, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just saying, like, his kids are angsty, and it's because, like, I mean, we see that part of in stories a lot. Angsty
Yeah.
kids because their dads are popular superheroes / celebrities,
just ignore them.
politicians. They just ignore them, and they have all this power. So what are they supposed to do with it? Just get drunk and high with their other superpowered friends.
Do alien coke.
It's like, Dad, why do I need to stop the alien invasion? You're stopping the alien invasion.
Mm. Yeah,
And everyone knows that you're the biggest, baddest one out there.
it's the biggest dick on the planet.
Air
Yeah.
quotes.
Kind of like the way that kind of works out. It kind of reminds me of Invincible, but like the same idea. Like, his dad's just that big dick, too strong, big bone.
Mm. It's a similar relationship in the sense that, like, with Invincible, we'll spoil this, I guess, but at the end, turns out his dad's kind of the villain, and they fight, and they have that rift. In this book, from the beginning, that relationship between the son Brandon and the Utopian is very strained, and it only gets worse from there. Like, this isn't it can be a hopeful book at times. Like I said, I think it's at the very ending, which I do want to talk about. But this main volume, these first 5 issues, are really about setting up this, what was thought to be this perfect society in the 30s. And then you just watch it all come crumbling down because of people who are so focused on what they think to be right that they don't take other people's, thoughts, feelings into account. And yeah, I think that like the Utopian's decline and eventual death in this book, it's all his fault. At least that's the way I see it.
Oh, he was definitely asking for it. I mean, he doesn't think of anybody else, just him, how he can save the world,
Yeah.
how much better he can be.
Just like Superman, if he decided that he didn't want to make a little council with his boys and just was like, I'm the one true guy.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I'm the one that knows what needs best. My name's Utopian.
I am the Utopian.
I am Utopia.
Yeah. Good kind of talking about the art a little bit. I really like these character designs. It's like a lot of these superhero stories that are made by Image or Dark Horse where it's like, oh, that's your Batman character, that's your Superman. That's all in there. But they don't always nail those designs, in my opinion. It's really in some of the early stuff you see in this, and then even more so in Jupiter's Circle, you get to kind of see those comparisons done really well between this Superman character and the real Superman. In the flashbacks and everything, the costumes are just colorful and ridiculous, and they have like just these really soft, friendly features in the faces, and it sells that whole golden age, everything's perfect because these guys are up in the sky protecting us. And then when you get to the other stuff, everybody's gross and grimy and strung out all the time. Chloe is just borderline disgusting to look at sometimes.
Oh yeah,
She just doesn't have any eyebrows. That's the only reason why. I mean, if she had eyebrows, she'd look normal.
She probably weighs about 35 pounds too.
Yeah.
She can lift 35 tons. So that's pretty good. There's a lot going on in this story, from the flashback to the modern stuff, why the relationships between the kids and the parents, and then there's the big coup that happens. That's the big, event. Out of everything, what kind of stuck out to you guys most? Like, what parts did you just really enjoy reading?
I really enjoyed Walter, obviously, as a character. I think he's a great character. I mean, having the power to get inside anybody's mind.
Oh, yeah.
Which also shows out, like, when he's not even using his superpowers, he's brainwashing people. I mean, he can talk to anybody into whatever he wants. He does it to Brandon. He does it to all the politicians. He's very good with his words.
Yeah, because Walter, I don't ever know his superhero name. I don't think they ever say it, but he's the Utopian's brother, and they all kind of get similar power sets. Like, they're all Superman-esque characters. They're pretty much indestructible. They can fly. They're super
I
strong.
can do some punchies.
But every now and again, one of them just gets like this overpowered ability.
Just
and
like a random thing.
His is, like you said, he can just, I guess, he's, what do they call it?
Telepath.
Telepath, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only person he can't do it to is the
His
Utopian.
brother.
He mentions that. And what I like about that is he finds a way to get around that. He knows he can't beat his brother in a one-on-one fight.
But who can?
Who can? His shit son.
It's only flesh and blood.
And as a reader, it's so obvious what he's doing. And I think even most of the characters catch on to it in the book about how he's clearly using Brandon, his nephew, to get what he wants, and that's be in a place of power.
Yeah.
But it's so fun to read because he's doing it so well, and he's still very charismatic as a character. You compare that with, say, the Utopian, who is just slowly losing it because his entire ideology is being questioned and his world isn't what he thought it should be.
Everybody's tired of his shit.
Everybody is tired of his shit, and Walter's able to use that to his advantage and literally turns every single superhero
Besides
Chloe, Hutch, and the mom, Lady Liberty.
Oh, yeah.
Turns all of them against him, and
Some 100 odd superheroes at that point.
yeah, and
150.
And I don't know. I found that he's probably one of my favorite kind of comic booky villains that I've read in a while. I think for that reason.
Yeah.
And you said you don't ever know his superhero name, but that's like half of his like ideology was like we shouldn't need a secret identity.
Yeah.
It's like we're a superhero. People should know we're the best people out there, and that's why we should be leading this country.
Well, it does reference that, like, I think him and Utopian and Grace are the only ones that keep their secret identities at this point.
They do, yes, yeah.
Because he fixes radiators at a car shop.
Yeah, he does. That's the parts of the Utopian's personality I do like, and I kind of see why he was well respected in the beginning, because he wants to do good. You could see that. He's just so twisted in how he thinks it needs to be done that the world left him behind. And by the end of the story, none of the people you thought were going to be quote unquote the hero end up being that person. It's actually someone who I did not see coming at all. Is kind of the person who takes up that mantle and is going to lead us into the. I think there's 5 issues after what we read.
Oh, okay. And I mean, since we're going to talk about them, those are my favorite parts. Probably, I like the very end, the last issue, probably the best.
The Australia issue.
Yeah, and then like right before that, where they're using his little blinky power thing, which is neat because he doesn't even have powers. I guess his supervillain dad that was.
Yeah, give us a little. Give the listeners a little background on what you're talking about.
Okay, so Chloe's the daughter. She's a bit of a rebel, so she likes the bad boys, and the biggest bad boy is, I guess, their old buddy. I think his name's George.
Yeah, it is.
And I guess George's like special power, like Walter has the mind powers. I guess he could just like teleport places just by saying it.
So his ability,
so he gave his son that power with that little rod thing he uses.
Power rod.
Yeah. So I think how it works is his ability just makes him like super smart with inventing. Basically, he's kind of a technopath.
Yeah, he's Iron Man.
And so in a way, he's Iron Man / Batman, but he makes that power rod for his son because his son doesn't have any powers.
Yeah.
And they have like a little, because Hutch and Chloe are dating and eventually they end up having a baby together. And those little intimate moments where they kind of just talk about how fucked up both their families are is really nice.
And like the stuff with like Chloe when she's talking to her son at first, just about like basically telling her kid about all the good times, like all the good parts of her father. I think she like starts to realize like, yeah, my dad might have been a little backwards doing what he thought needed to be done to make the country right. But then she realized like not all of it was bad. Like his end goal was the right way to look at things. He just didn't know how to get there.
Exactly. And not only that, or at least this is how I guess I kind of also took it, she was just reminiscing about good moments she maybe had with her family, because at the beginning of this book and for most of it, I don't even really think she interacts with her dad. The only one she seems to have any kind of, or shows any kind of love for at that point is her mom, and even then it's just barely. She's very just kind of fed up with her parents, and for good reason, I think. But then you cut forward after the coup happens, and both her mom and her dad both die brutally.
Rough.
She has this complete change of character where she's a mom now, and she realizes like being a parent is pretty hard. Being a parent with superpowers and your kid has superpowers, that's also hard, and people expect all this stuff of you because of that. And yeah, you want to do the right thing and help out, but it's tougher than it looks. And I think that she realizes that after they're gone, and so it's kind of bittersweet because she's telling these stories about her son's grandparents, knowing that he'll never get to meet them, but also she's never going to see them again. And the way that ended was really terrible.
Yeah, she got spears, swords. I don't know where they got the swords at. Or the spears. There's like sticks of wood sticking through her.
Yeah.
I just assume it was like every superpower just got thrust at her all at once.
Some guy just had a stick.
And it was just messed up because she didn't even know it was happening too. Walter came back with his power. She thought she was just like stomping him, showing him the what's what.
That's right. I forgot because she's stabbed like a million times, but the only reason that's able to happen is because he traps her in like a trick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's basically in like an illusion where she's beating the people up versus getting stabbed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what makes his power so insane is it can be such a subtle change.
Can't believe anything.
And you wouldn't even know. Because he does it to Brandon at one point too, I think later on. And so, yeah, having him as that villain in this, I guess this last volume, again, I'll get into it. That is the last volume. But having him as, I guess, the big bad along with Brandon, who's still pretty dangerous just given his power set because he's got telekinesis and Superman's powers.
He tried to kill those sailors.
He burned his dad's face off.
That was, he did that.
That was pretty.
He also took a girl in the bathroom, gave her the what for.
He did.
Yeah.
Got to use that status, man.
Kendra, I think.
Yeah.
She didn't know she wanted it though.
Oh.
Not until her friend came back.
I honestly feel that this book could be a good representation of what would probably happen if society ended up with superpowered people.
Yeah, it's very realistic of how people would act.
Because on the page, they're great. You know, they're written to be that way. They're the ideal person. But then when you write them in a more realistic light, you go, oh yeah, underneath all those crazy powers, they're still just human,
Yeah,
just
it's
like
humanity,
us. And
yeah.
humanity kind of sucks. I don't know if you've noticed that in the last year, especially, but
Hey man, we got to work together to do that.
yeah, good
and
luck.
that's a segue that I'm gonna take to talk about our drink.
Oh,
'cause
excellent, Higgins.
If we're working together, what are we? But not all for one. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
All for one.
I did use the power of Google again, and man, there's a whole list of drinks for like you to watch the show along with.
Yeah.
And there's like 7 or 8 of them. We
Just
picked
one
the one.
season.
Yeah, just one season.
Well, I was about to say, it's a drink for each episode, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Every episode that will ever come out.
Yeah.
but you said we picked all for one. What is
Yeah.
that?
So all for one, I think they just wanted a clever way to say we put all of the liquor in this.
Yeah.
But you take light rum, dark rum, orange curacao, orange juice, grenadine, lemon juice, and then like 151 proof rum or whatever. Just floated on the top. Which I don't know if I did that. Did it feel like I did that, guys?
Yeah. Before I mixed it, I think I got a nice shot there at the beginning.
It felt pretty floaty, I think.
Yeah, because it's gotten much more like refreshing as the drink's gone down.
Yeah. Way better than what y'all gave me last time. I didn't think I was going to come back after that one. I'll be honest.
It took a little bit of convincing to get you back, I think. That's why we asked what drink you wanted. And you really put that up the chance because you texted me back and said, whatever you guys want is fine.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I didn't think y'all would want that again either.
oh, no, we're not going to get that again. That was awful. That was probably the second worst drink I've ever had on this podcast. And hopefully it stays that way.
That's the first worst drink I've had ever.
Yeah. It's like just drinking mouthwash
It was
with a peppermint patty.
Yeah. But this one really nailed it. We've gone on the garnish kick too. You garnish it with an orange,
Mhm.
maybe spritz it in there.
Higgins was giving rim jobs
gave
all
me a
around.
rim job, orange
I
rim
spun it
job.
around the rim of it
Yum, yum, yum.
and made a nice orangey citrus beverage.
That's right. An overall opinion?
Oh, it's definitely one of the better ones we've had.
This is the best one I've had on this show.
Yeah. Well, you're not shy to the occasional
yeah.
cocktail. So what do you think?
I think it's very good. I don't think I go to rum first, but as a rum drink, I think it's very
Yeah.
beachy.
It is very summertime, isn't it? Yeah. There's a bunch of different kinds of rums in here, like Higgins mentioned, and I'll leave the link for all those other drinks as well in the description if anyone checks that
yeah.
out. We talked about this drink though. I do really like this drink. I might like the one we had most recently on our last episode a little better.
Oh yeah, it was delightful.
They both give me summertime feels, but I'm not a huge juice fan as is anyway. So that's, I think, what's kind of tipping the other one in its favor for me. But nah, everything about this is well done.
Well, brag some more.
I didn't make it. He did.
I'm just saying, I didn't get to have the last one. You're over here talking up like
We can
it's-
make you some.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, we know what it is.
We just recorded that episode, so we still actually have stuff to make that. That's rare. So if you want to take advantage, please let me know. Is there anything else you want to talk about this book though? I feel
Oh, I have a few little like weird things. So
yeah.
with Chloe, obviously she does get pregnant. At the
Oh, yeah.
beginning of like, I think it was the first issue, she said something about her having endometriosis.
She's a sponsor.
For us, the charitable event was
Yeah.
for endometriosis, which is funny because she ends up getting pregnant.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
funny.
Pregnancy diseases.
Yeah.
And then she ended up having the baby.
Popping one out.
That's pretty good. And her husband, like, honestly, he doesn't have superpowers, but he has my favorite, like, power to, like,
Yeah.
watch. He's
Sent that guy to
pretty creative.
shark-infested
Yeah, he's
waters.
pretty creative with it. He sent that guy there and, like, dropped a train on, like, people and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And you're like, I don't know, he seems to be doing pretty good without the powers.
That's probably my favorite character overall, I think. Hutch, I think he's a good little addition to this because when they introduce him, you just think, oh, he's bad news. Like he's gonna betray
Drug
Chloe.
lord.
Yeah, he's a drug distributor.
Drug distributor,
is what
sir.
yeah, that was good. It's kind of funny because he's one of the guys that's not a dickhead and he doesn't actually have powers.
Like,
Yeah.
he's the best dad.
Yeah, he's a good dad.
Number one dad.
We don't get that very often on this podcast, but he's a great dad.
Number one Australian dad.
I know. That was the last thing I wanted to kind of really touch on for me and see what you guys kind of think about it. I really like the downtime period when we see what they've been doing in Australia.
I was just hanging out, watching the kid get
Beat
up.
up.
Like he basically doing Dash from The Incredibles. It's like you got to be like
Yeah.
only kind of good.
Yeah, but he could still win. Dash was still able to win.
Yeah, at least second place.
I really liked that because this book isn't slow by any means, except probably that part. But I think it's perfect to put it where it is because you just had this horrific event happen with the Utopian and Lady Liberty, and Walter and the other superheroes took over the world, basically.
Slows down everything. Kind of gives you like a grace period in between.
Exactly. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's basically, I think, just the last issue, roughly. Yeah. And you get a lot of character development for Chloe now. You saw how she was before, and she's really grown up. She's kind of had to, given her situation, being a mom, being on the run. Hutch did her right. He's still there. And then you have this kid who, when you introduce a kid, superhero-powered kid, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to be a little bit annoying. I think this kid's great.
Oh, yeah, and he can actually use his powers pretty good, too.
And he gets dressed like Superman. He like ran to that ice cream shop or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Came back out, looked like invincible before he got his costume.
Did you see the bit? It's very subtle, but they're on the run. They're not supposed to be doing anything, showing off their powers. That's why you guys mentioned it's basically the Incredibles, because if there's any sign of superpower people, they'll know. The Walter and the others will know and come for him. So he's doing it. He's a kid. He's going to do what he wants to do anyway, and so he saves people on the side. There's a scene where he stops that tornado or whatever it is, and he comes back the same way he left through like a bathroom, and he walks by this girl who has an ice cream cone, and then the next panel
takes the ice cream cone.
Has an ice cream cone, and she's just like,
oh, I didn't see that. I was wondering why she was so upset. I thought she just like got bumped by him or something.
Took her ice cream cone.
I loved it. I thought that was really clever, and it's just a subtle thing, but he's using his power. He's a kid. Of course he's going to use these powers. And I think the really interesting thing about him is he kind of represents what the Utopian wanted out of like himself and other superheroes.
He's like obsessed with his grandparents. Like through the stories that Chloe's told him, he kind of just wants to follow that and do good. I mean, he says it a couple times in there. He makes quotes of what the Utopian used to say. And
what's nice about that is like, he's only getting the good reports of like what his grandpa used to do. So he's taking that and being better.
Getting the clean version.
Yeah, getting the clean version of him. Nothing's tainted yet.
I like that because that's what superheroes are for us. We see them as, as they're written, and most of the time they're written as the best people.
Glorified, yeah.
And they're what you want to be. And that's all he's got. Like Higgins mentioned, that's all he's gotten about his grandparents. He didn't see them as whatever their real names are. It's like Samson and Grace, I think. But he just saw them as the Utopian and Lady Liberty. And I think because of that, he's not fucked up in the head like his mom was and like his uncle is.
Yeah, he doesn't have the influence of politics. He only learns like how to be good.
Yeah.
Obviously,
or how to be like bad.
Yeah.
Around other people.
Yeah, it's very black and white, and it's so inspiring that he even gets Chloe out of her funk because she has one of the best moments in this book, I think, where...
Yeah, Mama hears everything.
He mentions her name once when he's being attacked by Walter's, I guess, crony, who's a really great power set, by the way.
Molecular, whatever.
Oh, yeah, he just makes stuff.
Yeah, you can just change molecules.
Yeah, I love any power that can, like, rearrange matter like that. But, yeah, so he only says it once. He says, Mommy, and she just, like, bursts through... saves the day.
Full force.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
That was pretty good. Like when you just get like the couple panels of like people just being like shocked and like what was that just passed through here? There's like the one where there's just wind blowing like crazy and people are like, what was that? And then it's like, oh, it's Mama on the way.
Exactly. You know it's coming and you just can't wait because she's there to save the day.
It's great.
And from there, she realizes we've been in hiding long enough. It's time we take down my uncle and my brother.
Trying to kick Brandon's ass.
Yeah. Then you have this other element that they've teased, which will be in the next volume, where it's like, okay, we can't do this on our own. Obviously, there's hundreds of these guys. So let's go find all the supervillains that are in hiding to help us. And now you have this complete dynamic shift where the heroes have become the villains and the villains are going to become the heroes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great cliffhanger to end this first volume on.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, too. I mean, they put a lot on Jason. I think he's going to be a big part of all of it.
Oh, that's the kid's name. Yeah,
Jason.
Forgot about that.
So, should be good. I haven't looked at this second volume yet, but...
No, I didn't want to spoil myself.
Yeah.
I really wanted to read it, but I already read another book I wasn't supposed to read. So,
if they did the show based actually completely on that comic, it would have been better, too.
I don't think that the show would have worked going forward anyway, I think that given the scale of what we read in this book, the action sequences, and they do a little bit of, I think who's the villain that they fight in the show that's in this?
Oh, Black Star. So he's
Yeah.
in like literally 2 panels
Yeah.
in this. But yeah, Black Star's the main villain.
And he's like a what?
It's kind of like Darkseid.
Yeah, he's pretty much Darkseid.
Yeah.
What's the other one that killed Superman?
Oh, Doomsday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like that.
It's a bit of that as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. And in this, he's just like that one panel because Walter ends up being the villain, and they set that up at the end of the show, and then
Yeah.
it got canceled. That might be the main reason we decided, I think, to come to this for the podcast, and I'm glad because this is just a better paced version of that.
Of what the show was.
But I mean, I'm glad the show got made too, because I got to see Josh Duhamel as a silver fox.
It's an old man. Lives on a farm.
Do you see the picture where it's just him in the makeup and he's just showing off his abs?
No, I didn't see that, but I'm not googling that right now.
You better have safe search
Your
on.
FBI agent.
No, it's I think that this would have been better as either like an animated movie, like maybe even a 2-parter.
Yeah.
I think that would have worked really well for it, or just go out and make a feature film.
I think they did in the show, the casting compared to what this comic shows, they nailed it. I mean,
Yes, they did. Yeah,
Josh Duhamel looks like Utopian. I mean, they did very well with that makeup. And then whoever plays Walter, that's
that's
dead
dead on.
on.
Yeah,
Like money.
and that guy's really good. Everyone in that show is good. I think that's what, except maybe the son. I don't really like the son
Well, they
that
like
much.
baby him down in the show. He's not like this asshole that wants to take his dad down.
Yeah,
Like
He hadn't
automatically at
quite
the very
gotten
beginning.
down. He hadn't really got to there by the
By the end of it.
Black
but-
Star part, and I don't even know if he really wanted to do it in the first place. So
Yeah, but and that changes too because Brandon ends up killing Black Star in the show.
yeah, and it's like a whole point of
Yeah,
contention.
and his
yeah.
dad's like, you can't just kill whoever you want.
The show tried to do a lot of what this book does as far as, again, showing the flaws in his character. But I think that they do it better in this because with the Black Star thing and his son, killing's obviously, like, that is a big moral question. And so he's kind of right to question that at least.
Yeah.
But in the book, you see that kind of just anything that seems like it's breaking the rules to him makes you an awful person because his, I think it's his nephew mentions that.
Oh, Jules, that's Walter's son.
Yeah, it's Walter's
Yeah.
son. He mentions that the Utopian basically like told him he was a piece of shit because he dated someone that he saved from a building.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean,
He
one,
called him like a C-class superhero or something.
yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, what's the big deal? Like, he just wants to go on a date. Who
Yeah.
cares? She wants to go on a date too. It's fine. And but he's lost it, and I think that's because he set this goal for himself as a superhero and for everyone else that got powers that you can't match up to as a person. Like, we'd all want to be Superman, but realistically, even if we had his powers, we don't have his resolve, his ideals, like not to that point. And so he kind of screwed himself that way, but also just the time because he's been alive since like, well, probably the early 1900s.
I mean,
Because
he had to be, 30? And that was in 29. Well, he had to be close to 30.
yeah, and he's been through 2 world wars. Like
Yeah.
everything that happened in our history has happened to him as well. Up to, I think this is set in 2013 when it was made.
Yes.
Obama's president.
Obama's president.
Obama's president. Yeah,
What a guy.
I know.
he's not doing enough though.
No, he's not going to make it, I don't think. He'll
Yeah.
do a second term, maybe.
Probably be all right, but after that we'll get someone way better. I think,
You
right?
think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
His hair will be about as orange as this drink.
I like that.
I like that too. That's nice. Yeah. So yeah, I think the book just does what the show was also trying to do, just better. And I like this a lot better than Wanted. I think it's aged better.
Yeah.
Specifically,
Yeah.
Wanted's a little just kind of like it's edgy for edge's sake at this point. Like I'm sure at the time it's just like, wow, this is so awesome and cool, Halle Berry, Eminem. But I'd much rather have old Josh Duhamel.
What a music
Any-
video.
Oh my god. I think that's really all I had.
I think we covered most of it.
Yeah, I think we nailed it.
There's not a whole bunch, but I mean,
You guys
Very-
can
very
read
good.
it and then find out if you missed anything.
Yeah, and then read the other 5 issues. There's 10 total,
Yeah.
and that was from that was from April 2013 to 2015 sometime.
October or something.
I think I wrote it down, but I lost the page again. It's not important.
That erasable ink will get you every time.
Damn it. So if we're done talking about it, at this point, all we need to do is give it a rating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, we can do that.
Or you are done? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't know if we were wanting to do our final bit that we've been doing
Oh,
this go around
we
after
will.
we rate it.
yeah, we will. We'll
All
just
right.
rate it and then we'll move on.
I didn't know how we were looking.
The structure's somewhere. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I think we've recorded for like 40 minutes. It looks like.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
We're fine then.
We like that.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it tight. You know?
BTS.
Tight BTS.
So I'm gonna give it the 6.5 year out of Brandon's 9-year term. I wasn't as keen on it as you guys. Like
Nice.
I give it a nice, like, you know, like how I said last week, it's kind of amounts to like a 7.
What
That amounts to what I kind of think about it this time.
what didn't really work for you?
I think it's just like the saturation of like the material.
Mm.
Like I feel like we've seen a lot of like, oh, what happens when the superheroes do something a little crazy stuff here recently.
that is a good point.
Super-
And
Superhero
so like
versus
this is like the
superhero.
third or fourth one that I've kind of seen like this. So
Yeah.
I think I was just, you know,
You're over it. Yeah,
I've oversaturated them. I've oversaturated my market,
that. No,
and that's not a euphemism.
just clean that mess up when you're done. No, I think that's actually a very good point, and you're right. We're even starting to get that way in other media. Like this show came out, it was canceled, but I think there's some kind of continuation of it on
Yeah.
the way from Netflix apparently, and I'm sure it'll be more of that.
We'll never know.
I mean, one of the book we talked about that was also written by Mark Millar. That, and come to think of it, that is kind of his shtick as far as his most popular work. It's like, what if the superheroes weren't that great? Because he's got a couple more besides this that I haven't read. And
Kick ass.
exactly, I think this is one of the better versions of this because it doesn't necessarily do everything differently, but it goes to some places that most of those books, like, they're kind of all about the spectacle of like, what if Superman was a maniac and destroyed every city?
Yeah,
There's a bit of that in this for sure, but there's also those deeper character moments that I liked.
Yeah, it shows a very realistic version of humanity in a superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And that works for me, but that is a good point, Higgins. I'm glad you said that because I normally would think to say something like that and I didn't. So that's why you're here.
hey man, it's all right.
Um,
Sometimes I think.
Thanks, real good. You did give a rating though, right?
Yeah, I said 6.5. The 6.5 year
Okay, cool.
of his 9-year
his
term.
term. That's right. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's good. I can't wait to hear that again when in the edit.
Oh yeah, I said
Yeah.
it twice now.
That happens a few times actually. Higgins will say something and then I ask him right after, and he just gives me the answer that he just gave me.
You just want multiple takes of it. Pick the best one.
I guess I do. I usually just leave both in.
I never really question it. I'm like, surely he has a reason.
He's a good sport. Josh, what about you? What do you rate this book?
I want to rate it 8 of my favorite drug distributors out of
Oh.
10.
That's fun.
I did like it.
Is Hutch? Is Hutch your number one?
Oh, definitely my number one.
He's my number one guy. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so for me, when I rate this book, I'd love to give it, if I could, 3/4 of a creepy island in the 1930s, and I got that one superpower that makes me either run really fast or stretch really far. It's in the other book. There's like a character who's like the Flash.
Just Miss Fantastic.
It looks like he's stretching. I don't know. It's not important, but that's what I give it, and that's pretty good, I think.
I like
Yeah,
it.
it sounds fun.
Cool. All right. So we've got some time. Higgins, you
Yeah.
want to cue us up for this next segment?
Oh yeah, man. There's no way I'm forgetting it this time. I
Throw
just
the
did
bit.
it. Dun-na-na-na. Readings for squares. Eventually, we'll actually record something for there, but I
Nope.
don't know. I think Snoop
think
just
that's
gets
better.
a kick out of
I
me
get a
doing
kick
it.
out of him having to do it live every time.
It's very humbling.
I could literally just take that bit and then just make a track, and it'd be fine forever. But this is more fun for me.
Yeah.
Put it
So
on loop.
Like I
Josh,
said, I don't question the process.
thank you. I appreciate that. So I make a good team. Josh, you've been on the show before, but not when we have this segment. Are you familiar with this new segment?
Yes, I do listen to the show.
He listens to the show, everybody.
He listens to the show.
Oh man, he's gonna hear this part later. That'll be good.
Yeah.
I can't listen to myself.
Just put yourself on mute.
That's very humbling.
I'll put you in one channel where you can just mute that channel.
Just me.
Yeah, just you.
Just listen to y'all, and
Uh,
I'll talk over it like I was there
That'd be
again.
fun. That'd be fun. Oh, yeah. You think that's what other listeners do?
Oh yeah. They just
Nice.
put themselves in there.
Well, here, we'll give them some space to say something that they're doing. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Now, Josh is going to make a suggestion of something he's either watched or played. It just can't be a book.
Yes, nothing. No read.
Yeah.
No reading.
No words anymore.
Okay, so watched wise, I'm gonna go ahead and steal this one. We watched it last night. The new Hugh Jackman Resilient. What's it called?
Reminiscence.
I haven't watched it, so
Resilience.
I don't quite know about it. So don't spoil it
Yeah,
too much for me.
pretty good movie. Definitely a one-time watcher, but Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman, what a huge ass man.
He's looking great. What
He's
is
looking great.
I think whoever directed this film,
Is he a huge
I think he's
Jackman?
I think he's a Hugh Jackman fan and an X-Men fan, because there's a few scenes in the movie. This doesn't spoil anything. There's a few scenes in the movie where Hugh Jackman's wearing like a white singlet and some pants.
Let's call
and
that a wife beater.
yeah, but it's too classy for
Is it
Hugh
a wife beater or a white beater?
I think it's a wife beater.
Okay.
Either one sounds
It's-
bad, if I'm honest. But yeah, there's a lot of weird X-Men imagery in this movie, so I think that's he was on board with Hugh Jackman. So was I. I think Josh is right. This is definitely a one-time watch. Once you get the reveals, the premise. Do you know the premise, Higgins, of it?
I know it's like some like either dreams or time travel or something like that.
So you're almost right, but not really.
Memories.
It's memories.
So Inception kind of.
Yeah.
But
It's
not.
Inception mixed with like
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman and maybe a little bit of The Prestige, but also it's like a murder mystery kind of deal.
I got you.
He's trying to find this lady, and he has to go through memories to do it.
I got you.
And yeah,
Pretty fun.
it's interesting. I liked it.
I'm sure I'll watch it. Where do you guys watch it at?
Higgins, you can watch it on your local HBO Max.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
I have that.
Yeah, but only for 30 days, and then it's off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's one of those guys.
In September.
And then it'll be back on again later. It's not that important. I had a fun time watching it.
It was good.
Yeah, it's very topical, Higgins. They talk about how all the ice melted, and now Miami's underwater.
And New
cool.
Orleans is underwater too, if you couldn't guess.
Yeah.
Well, they were probably the first to go.
Yeah, that's where all the really hard drugs come out of, is New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Surprising, I bet.
Same.
So yeah, I liked it.
It was good.
Higgins, what about you? What you been doing?
I just watched the Suicide Squad
Oh,
like
nice.
yesterday. Like I could rack my brain for something else, but I guess that's good as anything.
Yeah,
I also
we've
watched it on the
so.
HBO Max too.
Mm-hmm.
And God, guys, turns out they nailed it.
They did
It
better.
was a lot of fun.
Turns out all you gotta add is "the" in front of the title. Better movie.
Well, it's like
Then you change Will Smith for Idris Elba.
I think they like did their best to make the first one still part of the canon a little bit.
Yeah.
They just killed everybody immediately.
Spoilers.
Well,
Still-
like that
still
happens
first.
in the first 15 minutes.
Damn
They
it.
haven't even rolled credits by the time that happens.
It's, just,
Damn it,
it's
Javelin.
still pretty fresh movie. Is the only reason I was saying it. Yeah, I mean, I've watched one David Ayer film that I liked. He did the first one. I don't think it's entirely his fault that I don't like that first movie.
I think they just didn't know how to handle having so many characters, and I think whatever they did this go around, they figured out how to showcase all these like superpowers and stuff like that.
I think it was just John Cena.
John
then,
Cena's
like-
great in this.
So
Yeah.
good.
Everybody's great in this, I think.
Yeah.
And then some James Gunn like Guardians of the Galaxy humor mixed in there too. It's like, look, guys, DC doesn't just have to be like gritty and grimy and kind
Yeah.
of boring.
They kept what they needed to keep, which was
Yeah.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And she nailed it.
She's great in this. Everybody, James Gunn has proved time and time again he's great at ensemble characters and casts. He knows how to give everybody their little moments, and sometimes in a movie like this, their big moment is just dying. This movie moves at a clip. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it feels so breezy, and it's just because he focused on making it fun. And I think you could see that in the characters he chose to put in this movie. You have like
yeah, they're not big names by any means. Like besides Harley Quinn, I don't know that I knew any like the main guys. Maybe the Shark. I think I might have seen the Shark before.
King Shark, yeah. And I will say that like James Gunn style, you see kind of samey stuff in this that you had with Guardians.
Oh yeah,
King Shark's basically just Groot.
yeah, the guy that
In
can't like
shark form. They
can't like talk that good.
Yeah.
but like you feel emotions for him.
Yeah, he's good at getting you to care about these misfits, because that's really what all of these guys are. They're just,
Don't talk about Rat Girl like that.
she is a misfit, but she's great. Like I said, I think that the thing that makes this, it sucks it's not making any money, but what makes this movie work so much better than the first one is it has heart, and that first one just didn't have anything at all in it. It was just dark and gloomy and kind of boring, and this one has Starro in it, and that's amazing.
Oh, Patrick.
I love Starro
Yeah.
in this movie. So yeah, it was a good movie. I'm glad you
It's a
watched
good
it.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I'm glad I watched it too. I didn't give up. Never give up.
Never surrender.
Nice.
But yeah, I think we can wrap it up.
Cool. Let's we'll clean up shop, I guess.
Yeah, we'll tell them what we want to read next. I think we said we're gonna do a spoopy book.
Yeah.
And we basically said we want to do Uzumaki, right? Well,
yeah, it's the only one we talked about. So.
See, so I don't know how long it is. We might not want to do the whole thing. We reserve the right to not do the whole thing, but just read as much of it as you want to.
Well, let me ask you this.
I've read it already. We'll do about half, maybe a third.
Well, that's what I was saying. Let me ask you this. How do you feel about making this, until we finish it, our annual Halloween episode?
Yeah.
We read.
That's fine. I mean, we can just finish it as like each October.
Yeah. Okay. So how many? We usually read about like anywhere between 150 to 200 pages in a book.
We can do like a third wherever it poops us out at like 200. I think we could call that.
Look up how many chapters it has.
There's 648 pages, and I think it's like 19 or 20 chapters.
So about 7 chapters an episode.
Yeah.
Okay. You're the guest. That you say what goes.
I'm just doing math.
That's good maths.
We'll do like the first 7, guys.
Excellent. So the first 7 chapters of Uzumaki is what we'll talk about next month. We get a little bit of a break in between recordings with this one. That's nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do
that. Is nice.
Yeah.
You can find me at the Twitters at Mike Higgins93, and Instagram is jsturm93.
That's absolutely right.
You can find Snoop at, I guess, both those things. He won't be there though, at Snoop_Lynch. And you can find him really at the email, which is yourcomrades@gmail.com.
I check it every second of every day.
Yeah, we're going to get some. We talked about it last time. I feel like I'm just kind of saying the same stuff over again because we recorded a week ago.
That one guy emailed
about
us
a week
again
ago.
that I had you look into.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted, this guy emailed us. His name was Satish. He wanted us to join his podcast network on Facebook.
Nice.
Higgins checked it out for me. Didn't seem too legit. So
it was only a little sketchy. I mean, people were talking on it, but like I feel like they didn't know any more than I did. So,
but I have to respect the effort he went to following up with another email. But I'm pretty sure it was automated. So
I'll send some nudes. We got something to look at.
Oh, that'd be something fun to put in the Facebook group. Nice.
But yeah, how can they find you unless you don't want them to find you?
You can find me at JDSawyer94 on all platforms.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, and
Maybe one day I'll get to the point where I can make all my names the same thing.
I feel like you could do it now. You just haven't looked into it hard enough.
My dad told me I might have to change my like email and like because he like dropped the provider, and man, I was not happy about that. And turns out I didn't have to get rid of it, so it was fine.
Man, just want to scare you a bit.
I just kind of waited it out until like I might not have had one anymore. Is there anything else that we can ask? Oh, like leave us a rating and review on all the,
and we'll read it.
Yeah, we read it pretty much every single time.
Yeah, we'll read it and we'll review it. Your review, we'll rate that on how well we thought.
We
it
might
went.
even sing it.
And Higgins might rate it higher than this book.
Yeah.
Oh, you might. Yeah, might give it 5 stars, which is the highest you can give on an iTunes or another podcast review app of your choice. But yeah, if you guys don't mind, do that. I know everybody says to do that at the end of a podcast, but apparently it
we
helps.
actually mean it.
Yeah, do it.
And we're like so close, guys. You have no idea. Like there's like a certain amount, like thousands of reviews. And like once that happens, people are like, we want to give those guys money.
That's right. Algorithms.
Like, and we're like, I'm telling you guys, like 3 or 4 more, like we got it.
We're rolling in it.
The $3.50 an episode, we'll be making bank.
And speaking of that, do you want to tell them the big news?
You mentioned where we could find Josh, and you can find him at JDSawyer94.
That's right.
Okay. But you can also find him somewhere else soon, because Josh is here recording on a 3rd microphone. It's
That's
his
right.
microphone.
I brought
wow.
it.
And he's going to tell you why he has that microphone.
I'm going to tell you now. So me and Snoop have decided we're going to try to do maybe a short podcast. I don't know if it's going to be, an hour long or something like
Yeah.
that, but it's going to be Too Weird Didn't Watch. We're going to watch extremely weird movies, shows, animes, and then do a nice review of them so you don't have to watch them, and we'll watch them for you.
And we'll
Nice.
talk about how we probably hated it or thought it was fine. And as he mentioned, it'll be anything from movies, TV, anime. It'd probably be a lot of anime because that's the weirdest stuff I watch.
Yeah.
But no, we're excited about it. So we're going to be doing it out in his backyard. It's going to be real classy.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And we're also planning at some point after we get that started up to maybe do some like commentaries that we stream. So we'll watch an anime or whatever, and we'll talk about over the top of it. And,
How about that?
yeah? So yeah, just want to tease that a little bit,
Yeah.
So thank you. And I think that's it. Josh, thank you for being on the show again.
Thank
with us.
you.
Yeah.
I finally came back.
I know. I was really excited about it. I'm glad you were able to fit in.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. We're gonna have you on again for sure.
The last time I was here, we were in your parents' basement.
I was gonna say you want. I forgot to ask how you like the new studio
I
setup.
love it.
It's a little nicer. They just sold that house too. That
Yeah.
basement's going.
It's gone. Get out of here.
That's a big part of my childhood. That's all right though.
Yeah, I slept on that cat bed every night.
It's so uncomfortable. I'll talk about that a different day. For now, I'll say cheers, guys, and see you next time. Higgins will say, actually, hold on. Don't, Higgins, you say something in a second. Josh will say something first.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Like it. Now, Higgins, you can say something.
I guess God bless America.
So utopian of you.
I know.
You dickhead.
Smooth like butter, like a criminal undercover. Don't pop like trouble, breaking into your heart like that.
So, the mix-up came in. Higgins and I both bought Jupiter's Circle,
Which was titled.
Which was titled Jupiter's Legacy on Amazon.
which was titled Jupiter's Legacy Volume 1 by Netflix, right?
Right.
Okay, there's 4 of these. There's 4 volumes out. They all came out on the same day last year, 2020. Basically, they took every story about this world and rebranded it. So, Jupiter's Legacy Volume 1 is actually Jupiter's Circle Book 1, okay?
Look, the background.
Yeah,
It's just the
that's-
background's different.
That's the original one, yeah.
Wow.
Okay. And then after Jupiter's Circle, Book 1 came out with Jupiter's Circle, Book 2. That's the only cover
That's
of that.
George.
That's George, yeah. So those are Jupiter's Circle.
Okay.
Then what happened is last year, Jupiter's Legacy Volume 1, then they made Jupiter's Circle Book 2, Jupiter's Legacy Volume 2. New cover, it's got the guys on there.
I like it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And then finally, we get back to what originally came out. You have Jupiter's Legacy, Book 1.
It's backwards.
Oh, sorry. Jupiter's Legacy.
I thought
Book
we
One-
were getting a big reveal.
Sorry,
I thought we
Jupiter's Legacy Book 1.
Yep.
It's got
correct.
the kids on it, right?
Yep.
They
Yeah,
look like
yeah,
the
yeah.
parents. It's symbolism, probably.
I like it.
Well, now that is Jupiter's Legacy Volume 3. So that's what we read.
Volume 3?
Yes. Now it's called Volume 3, but in reality,
It's really Volume 1.
it's Volume 1 of Jupiter's
so
Legacy.
they put it in like
Oh.
chronological
And then-
order.
They pulled a Star Wars.
in chronological order. And then finally, you have Volume 4 of Jupiter's Legacy,
George.
which is actually Book 2 of Jupiter's Legacy.
Nice.
So what I think happened is the Netflix show is coming out, and they were thinking, we could sell a lot of this because it's a Netflix show. We'll get that word out. So let's just call everything Jupiter's Legacy. We'll release it on the same day. We'll sell it.
People will buy it.
People will buy it. Netflix show comes out on May of 2021. Month later, canceled. I think this was originally the entire plan.
They just
I
sold a lot of them.
I think they just wanted to sell books because that after reading this, you saw how expensive this show should have been.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely expensive.
So the fact that they just immediately canceled it, but they also said that there's more coming under the Jupiter banner. I think there's something called Super Crooks coming out.
Jupiter Circle?
Jupiter Circle, maybe.
Maybe.
I think why they did that is they wanted to get people hooked, and then they wanted to make a cheaper show. So you have something called Super Crooks, which
And they'll
is
put it on
probably-
CW.
and they'll put it on CW. So that's what happened.
Wow. What a detective.
It took
Detective Snoop.
It took me an hour to figure all this
That's
out.
how you got your name, huh?
So that's what happened.
Wow. What an adventure.
See, I don't know if everyone's gonna want to listen to that, so I'll just keep it here at the end.
Yeah.
yeah,
but-
that's fine.
But I'm good. Everyone caught up?
Caught up. I'm here.
Higgins?
I'm here.
Yeah, I bought. At least I got the first volume though.
Kind of, sorta. Yeah,
I got the third.
you got the right one. We would have been idiots just talking about the.
I would have been so lost.
I came over to his house and I'm just like,
What are you reading?
"What are you reading?" Oh, that was good. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.